Hi everybody, welcome to the $300 user-generated ad hack that drove 10 million bucks in sales. All right, here we go. Let's see if this is working. We're good. Cool. So this is what we're going to cover. So the first part, I'll quickly cover who I am, just to inject a little bit of credibility in there, so you can decide whether this guy's worth listening to or not. Up next, we'll go over how we scaled a brand called Nectar Sleep from $10 million run rate to $300 million in 18 months. Shock, surprise, it's got to do with user-generated content. Then we'll go into something kind of interesting, which is UGC versus Don Draper. When we're talking about Don Draper, we're talking about the context of big budget brand productions, such as the kind of stuff that comes out of Madison Avenue. Then we'll go over to the methodology, which is a bit of a rebirth of the SWOT analysis, which some people may remember from dusty old business books, but we've found something that's quite useful. And then we'll cover how you actually build out a nice piece of creative that's going to make you lots of money. So the first bit, who am I? So my name is Mark Patchett. If you search on LinkedIn, you'll find a couple of people. This guy is in the agricultural world in New Zealand. I'm not this guy, I'm this one here. So most recently, I was the VP of growth for a company called Nectar Sleep, which has then been merged as part of a greater group, which is still owned by the same company called Resident Home. And there's a bunch of different brands within there. And we'll go into a little bit more detail there. So before that, over the last 10 years, I've been working with a bunch of different small, medium, and enterprise companies. Everything's been around kind of paid media and growth and conversion and anything that helps businesses grow really, really quickly. So there'll be lots of relevant stuff here to talk through. Moving on. All right, cool. So this is a fun topic. So this is how to take a business using one of the key tactics from 10 million bucks to 300 million in 18 months. But the really key part here that I want to really focus on is no venture capital, as our competitors had plenty of that, but we didn't want to go down that route. So did we really do this? Yeah, we did. And it was tough, but it was really, really fun. So here's how things looked. So Nectar Sleep is a direct-to-consumer mattress in a box brand. You would have probably heard of some of the competitors: Casper, Purple, Lull, Tuft & Needle, a bunch of different ones. What they didn't do is what we did. So in 2018, we grew by 525% versus the previous year. Now, the distinction with this little competition or this little tally is that in order to qualify for the growth rate, you already have to be in the top 1,000 by revenue in all of the USA. So in this list, you've got the big guys like Amazon and Walmart. So we clocked at 211th by revenue in the entire country for e-commerce. So to grow from a $10 million point to get to that is really crazy. But the good thing is what we're going to cover today is how you can do it. And you don't need to have hundreds of millions of bucks, which is always a nice thing. So one of the challenges that we had when we came into the market is that we had serious competition. And when you have serious competition, you need a really different approach. And the top guys and girls in the market were using a similar-ish kind of playbook, and that just wasn't going to work for us. So this meant that we needed to be really scrappy and we needed to move much faster than the competitors were. How did we do it? Well, let's first take a look at Casper. So Casper had raised $340 million, which is huge by any kind of metric when you're comparing even the SaaS businesses. It's massive, a massive amount of money they had to play with. We didn't have any interest in doing that kind of playbook. But when they do have that kind of money, what does that mean you can do? You can do things like this. You can buy up pretty much every single piece of ad space in the subway. And if you lived in New York at any time over the last 3 years, you're going to know all about Casper. Literally everything. And then you can see it in here. And to Casper's credit, it was really creative and really cool. And the visuals are strong and the message is great. But doing things like this with billboards, it costs a lot of money. And you can see a big amount of money, like 340 million wouldn't be that big. It would probably be like this big. It goes really quickly. And they were also doing some really cool stuff with TV, but they were dropping a lot of cash into it. And you can sum up that strategy like this. So there's two real different ways that you can approach growth in the early phase. And we call this like a David versus Goliath. And by we, I've never seen anyone call it. I just thought of it when doing this presentation. But we could call this the David versus Goliath. So the first play here is a brand equity play. And what that means is whether someone's ready to buy a product, in this case it's mattress, in a day or in a year, you want them to be thinking about your product. You want them to have your brand come top of mind. So if you can imagine having to communicate and sell your brand to 1 million people, even though they might not give you any money for 1, 3, 5 years, you can imagine that being a really expensive play. And that's why that $340 million that Casper raised starts going really quickly. The other alternative on this side of the fence is in market. This means getting in front of people specifically that are interested or actively seeking to buy your product. How do you do that? Good question. So how does one target in market? So the first thing you can do is channel selection and targeting. So this means using channels where you know you can get in front of people that are actively searching for your product. So a very obvious example of that is using something like Google AdWords. So in our case, if someone's going into Google, and they're typing buy memory foam mattress online, best mattress reviews, you know they've already identified that whatever problem they've got, the solution is the product you have. So the targeting there can assist as well. So for example, if you're on Facebook and you're selling outdoor gear and you use some kind of targeting type, like interested in outdoor or interested in similar brands, you can start getting a pretty good feel that it's going to be relevant. In the Facebook front, it's still going to be quite loose. But another example could be on YouTube. You may know that people that follow certain channels, such as how to survive in the woods when the world's coming to an end, they're probably going to be interested in buying some survival gear. But there's often a reality where you're going to saturate that market. The second bit is specificity in message paired with automation. So this sounds kind of complicated, but it's not. So what this is really saying is if you create a very specific piece of creative that only talks to what you sell, Facebook will then be able to find the people that are going to be interested in that message. So this will make sense in a sec when I show some examples. So what this means is that demographics, psychographics, and interests aren't enough anymore, because the accuracy of these targeting options is actually going a little bit down because of a lot of privacy issues. So Facebook used to allow you to target people with, say, back pain, and they used to buy a lot of segments from other companies, gone. So a lot of that happens in the background, but the qualification actually comes from the message that you talk about. So let's check out this. User-generated content versus Don Draper. So Don Draper, out of Mad Men, is an old school ad exec guy. And this girl is really user-generated content. She looks a bit like an annoying influencer. But I thought it was a funny photo, so I'd chuck it in there. So what do we mean when we're talking about qualifying through the message? So the easiest way to remember this is that if you create a piece of content, if someone is watching your content, you're confident that there is a clear level of interest. What does that mean? Let's take an example. Who would watch this? So what this is here is this is a snippet from, I wonder if I can actually press play. Yeah. From a Casper ad. We got cute kittens. We got that was actually me laughing. Porcupine, goats, puppies, yawning, cute bunnies. It's really cute. A tiny little kitten, little chickens or something, and then sleepy dogs. So the whole concept of this video was the ultimate reviewer of the product is going to be these cute little animals. But who's going to watch this? Oh, now it's not doing that. Hold on. Who's going to watch this? Pretty much everyone on the planet. They're cute little animals. Everybody's going to watch this. So imagine that you drop that video on Facebook and you're targeting some large kind of audience, which is what you want to be doing if you can scale. If you really want to be able to scale to a large level, you need to be targeting broader audiences. And Facebook's going to look at the metrics and they're going to say, who's engaging with this ad? And even if you have purchase optimization on, you'll still see this in effect, where Facebook will start optimizing and showing your ads to the people that are engaging and interacting and finding your ad useful. Because what Facebook wants to do is that they want to ensure that all of the ad creative is adding to the user's experience on Facebook. So if someone's watching something, it means they're typically liking something. So if you're showing something that's quite generic and it would appeal to a lot of people, even if they're not going to be buying your product, then Facebook may be burning your money on people that may not be relevant. And we've done a lot of really interesting testing, even when we have purchase optimization for those people that would be thinking that question. So what's the alternative? So what we're going to see here is kind of the outcome of what we want to build. And consider when you're watching this, which is going to be 60 seconds, who would watch this video? Come on. Give it a second. So here you can see we're dropping powerful quotes in. Everything's talking about sleep. Best sleep of your life. 365 night trial, 100% risk-free. Improving our marriage, price points, highly recommended. And now we're showing what the experience is like unpacking the bed and receiving it for the first time. Best purchase I've made, showing about the touch and feel.
It's like my body is, like sinks in the right places.
Experience of sleeping, more unpacking. Still get a cute animal. Feeling, which is the outcome.
You slept on the bed for a while. Did you like it? Yeah, you like it.
He likes it.
Was it comfy?
Comfort.
First night on the next mattress. You liked it a lot.
He likes it a lot. He likes it a lot. So then consider with this product, who would sit through and watch a bunch of people talking about a mattress? Probably people that are interested in buying a new mattress. Simple. Compare that to just seeing a bunch of bunnies and cute little people. So what happened when we launched that puppy? Maybe you saw it. Oh, actually, no, this still will be gone. 45 million views, over 50,000 shares, over 100,000 likes. The people that are liking a mattress ad are people that are probably interested in buying a mattress. Plain and simple. So then what Facebook started doing is it started getting a really good feel as to the user profile. So I'll add some stats later, but the kind of TLDR, too long don't read, which we don't listen in this case, is it create content that is really specific so that you know that if people watch it, they're highly likely interested or have some degree of interest in your product. All right, what this meant for us. So as you would have seen, it wasn't polished. It wasn't that pretty. It was just a bunch of videos that people had filmed themselves. So it was lean and mean, super low cost of production and rapid delivery. Doing a large budget production can take 6 months. It takes a long, long time. Or even in cases where it doesn't take a huge amount of time, it can be quite expensive. So then what we did by having a really specific message is that we put the Facebook robots to work, their algorithm, to target and scale. So we used a broad audience that had 180 million people in the audience. Look at most Facebook courses, they'll tell you to target, 500,000, a million, 180 million. You create this ad and it just kept rolling. And what that meant was that we could consolidate a huge amount of relevant social proof. So that created a moat. So we started having new competitors come into the market, and one competitor in particular, lol, that completely ripped off our format. But instead of having kind of regular people, they had all these kind of Instagram models like this one. Like, come on, guys. But it works really well because they just ripped the format. But we had a huge amount of social proof that was already built. So that really helped escalate the sales. So then it wasn't quite that simple. This looks like we just got a bunch of different pieces of social proof, bang, dropped them together. Not quite. So here I was lying in bed late one night. And then I remembered something useful from the business university degree I got, which is the SWOT analysis. And the SWOT, I really like the SWOT. But then I had this idea to apply it to this content, which is how do we identify the strengths and weaknesses of our brand and opportunities and threats to then feed that into what we should be communicating to our customers as the ad hook. So then what we needed to achieve. So we needed to find out, in order to determine what our strengths and weaknesses were, we needed to find out what mattered most to our customers. So we call this like the key resonating elements. We also needed to know the same kind of information, but from our competitors' customers. How are we going to do that? We also had to uncover this information super quickly and affordably. So we didn't want to go down the route where we'd create these giant panels and create these massive qualitative studies that would take a long time. We wanted to move fast and we wanted to move affordably. So what did we do? We started looking where people already told us all this information. And here it was. Bum, bum, bum. Reviews. Simple as that. So on the Casper website, you could go there and you could look at the 1-star reviews. and you could look at the 5-star reviews. But we needed to be quite careful. So we had access to all of our reviews, but how do you get the honest ones from your competitors? Well, you identify your first 3 competitors, your top direct competitors, or in instances where it's indirect, it can be a little bit trickier because you need to find the reviews that are relevant to your product, but it's still totally doable. So it's essentially, what's the company that they would be giving their money to instead of you, or who would they be comparing apples for apples? The next thing you want to do is that you want to scrape the reviews from their website. You can either do this yourself manually or go on Upwork, pay someone $50 to do it. But you want to get them all into a CSV format. And you also want to use another source that is not on their website. Because what you'll find is people tend to curate their reviews sometimes. You can find going through one of the competitors, and there's a 2-star review, and it was like the only complaint I've got about this product is it's just too damn good. I was like, oh, come on. So what you want to be doing is you want to go to a source where it's harder to kind of curate and cook the books. So one of those sources is like Trustpilot. Another one is Amazon's way better. And then you want to go to Better Business Bureau in the US. But also take into account the kind of people that are going to go to Better Business Bureau and the kind of mindset that a customer's in with BBB is often the people that are pissed off. You're not going to find many people that go to Better Business Bureau and give a 3-star review. It's the strangely really ecstatic people that want to kind of support the customer, support the company, or it's the people that are irate. So you got to take that into account. So the next thing you want to do is you want to do it for your reviews as well. Then you want to start grouping all of these reviews into themes and narrow down to core items. So what that means, what's the type of things that people are talking about most commonly? You'll find people are talking about the experience and the shipping, but what are the different features and benefits that people are talking about most commonly? So you want to narrow that down to kind of 5 to 10 max. Then what you want to do, and I'll show you an example of this, is run a frequency count. So of the total reviews you've got, how many people talk about the comfort of sleeping versus pain relief versus any of these different items that are relevant to your product? Then what you want to start looking, which is blocked by my mug here, is for patterns where you're really strong and your competitors are weak and vice versa. So you want to start finding these kind of differentiation points. Then what you want to do from that is have a prioritized message point list, which means that you're going to have 3 to 5 things that you're like, you know what, when we go to market, we can go head to head with anybody and we can have these points as our key talking points, as our kind of almost like our argument of our offering. Bum, bum, bum. And this is what it looks like. So what we did here is we separated out the happy customers and then the unhappy customers. And you can see a bunch of these different themes. And then we said, well, so here you can see of our happy customers from Nectar, 29% of total reviews reference comfort, yet with Casper and Purple, it was only 23%. Then when you look at cooling, people that buy Purple seem to think that Purple do a really, really good job at that. So you can start seeing some patterns here. And it's not perfect, but what we find is that even by analyzing 200 reviews, you start seeing patterns really quickly. You may be asking, oh, let's use AI to do this faster. What we find, we tested a bunch of different approaches, is that it takes longer to create a structured enough, I guess, input for the AI to scan than it was actually more efficient to do it with a team. And you also learn a lot more. It's really useful to learn your customer language. So then, let's build a thing. So what we want to do here is find out what messages, angles to feature. Tick, we already did that. Next, we need to gather the creative from the people. By the people, I mean your customers. Then we want to stack it all together and we want to finally go live and cash in. Cha-ching. So get me that creative. So we now know what we need to cover. We just need some video reviews. So it's surprisingly really, really easy to get people to give you this stuff. One of the most effective ways is to have a competition and say that, hey, we're really excited. We're launching a new ad and we want to feature how our customers have been experiencing our product and what's positive about it. And people will often be really flattered that you're even getting in touch. But say that the winner will get XYZ. Ideally, it's something that you offer. If your business model lends itself to repeat purchases, in our case, it's not a huge deal. People aren't going to be buying too many mattresses. Some people, second homes, new bedrooms, but not a huge amount. But ideally, you want to be giving them a free gift pack or something where you're rewarding them with the products that got them interested in your brand in the beginning. So what you want to do is you want to go through your customer list and you want to segment the people that left you 5-star reviews very recently. And even better, that people have made multiple purchases. Now, the recency here is really important. The reason being is that we've had situations where people will leave you a 5-star review within a week, and then they might change their mind a little bit later, and they may be in a different place in their life. So, for example, we had someone that gave us 5-star review, and we followed up with them, and they're like, you know what? I just got divorced. They got to keep the mattress. I'm not happy now. And then it didn't work. So try and stick with recency. So look at order dates. So email them, be really personal and honest, and let them know why you're doing this. And you'll find that people respond really well. The other thing is, don't email too many people at once, because we have only so much creative that we can use. So test emailing 100 people at first, and then based on the response rate you have, then start expanding and emailing more, but only if you need it. So the desired output. So what do we want to get out of this? You want to create 30, 60, and 90-second clips. We want test variations as well. So what this means is that you may have one point that you identified was really, really common and a strong theme within your competitive set, yet you may have 2 amazing videos that talk to that point. You can create 2 different variations that start with different videos, because we want to have multiple different things to test. That's totally fine, and it's highly recommended. So also make sure you know what platforms you're going to run on, because we're going to have different aspect ratios, and that could be Facebook or YouTube or even Snapchat. And then key aspects. So what do we want to communicate? The experience of getting the product. This is the unboxing. And this is particularly important with direct-to-consumer brands that are shipping products direct, where people don't get to go into shops to feel them. That is powerful for a few reasons. It helps people get a sense of what it's like, but it also removes kind of doubts and fears that, what if they don't sense? The next bit is using the product. What's the experience like? But it can't just be using products. Say you were selling like a phone. It's the experience of using the product paired with emotion. So that part where someone unboxes something and grab it for the first time, and they see the new massive crazy resolution with the iPhone. And it's not like just using this. It's like, wow, bang. What happens is you start helping someone on the other side of the screen really start to feel what it's like. And then it stops from becoming a logical purchase decision to being an emotional purchase decision. That's a big one. So then what do we do? So then people responded really well to your email. Well done. What we want to do is we want to start collating and sorting all of the video footage. And what's important to note here is that you're not using the entire clips that people send you. You're chopping it up and you're pulling out quotes. So what we want to do is we want to run a clip quote stack. So that means you're featuring a clip of someone going, wow, this thing's so amazing. And then you stack in a really big quote. So it's important to remember that a lot of people won't have audio on. So you want to be using visuals, and then you want to be communicating the quotes in a written form. So it makes people easy to consume the content. So go clip, quote, clip, quote, clip, quote, or you can sometimes do quote, quote, clip, multiple different things. The idea that you feel is it needs to be fast-paced, and it needs to really be hooking and engaging people in, and appreciate how short their attention span is. So make sure you always use subtitles, really critical. Even if people don't have audio, some people will, so have relevant music. You heard the stuff that was on before. Dun, 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 dun. Happy, happy, happy. Get people excited. Depending on your product, it doesn't necessarily need to be happy and cheesy, but it needs to have the tempo that really consumes someone and kind of get someone hooked in. So you want to finish it with a direct response call to action, telling them what to do next. Don't just leave them hanging. Tell them what to do. But even with that, consider not adding a specific offer, because what you want to be able to do is you want to create an evergreen piece of content that's going to work for a long time, that you can build up lots of comments, shares. So don't necessarily add things like pricing or offers in. You can consider adding that. Well, you could create variations once you've found ones that have, say you've created a variation A, it works really well. You may want to use that for sales periods, potentially, but it's really good practice to have one that doesn't include that, so you can keep running it all year long. And then also this one, what it says here is don't make it polished and professional. Keep it raw. That's really key. You want people to be looking at their feed and feeling, I get it, I'm like these people. This isn't some big budget thing that's obviously trying to sell me. So then, holy smokes, is that it? Yeah, that's literally it. So consider that it only cost about $300 for us to produce this thing, and we ran this ad for months and months and months and months and months. 45 million views, just under 54,000 shares, 24,000 comments, 111 reactions. 111,000. It's insane. So what I would really encourage here is just get on it, start doing it, and start testing. It's the momentum here that will really make it work. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to see how well this can help your business scale. So thank you. I hope that was helpful. Wait, there's a thank you slide as well. There we go. So as for what I'm doing here, so Growth Shop is my growth agency. I help direct-to-consumer businesses scale quite quickly. It really focuses on overall e-commerce growth strategy, including traffic and channels and growth modeling, but all this kind of stuff too. So if you're a business that thinks this kind of thing could benefit you, then yeah, feel free to get in touch. Grab me on LinkedIn or growth.shop. See you later. Thanks a lot.